Hi, if you're watching this video, you're watching my video on colors. In the previous lessons, we talked about light and how light can be affected by lenses, mirrors, and other objects. We also talked about how that knowledge can be applied either through technology or through our biology via our eyes. Well, when we see something, we see all its shapes, forms, shadows, and colors. And in this lesson, we're going to be focusing on what makes things colorful, what gives things color. Well, during the 1700s, Isaac Newton discovered that when light passes through a prism, if you shine a light through a prism, the white light will then split in the prism, creating this rainbow. And so he hypothesized, he made the guess or the thought that all the colors of the rainbow make up white light. So when he saw the rainbow, he said, well, if white light's passing through the prism, and all these colors are coming out from it, then all those colors must make up white light. And that's just the case. White light is separated and it forms 7 different colors, the colors of the rainbow: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. You may have learned this in like grade 5, where it's Roy G. Biv, ROYGBIV, right? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. And so all of these colors combine together to make white light. And so you can even prove this hypothesis by taking white light, shining it through a prism to create those 7 colors, and then putting those 7 colors in a prism to collect that light again, right? If you take white light and shine it through a prism, you separate it into 7 colors. Well, when those 7 colors hit the prism, those 7 colors then combine back together to make white light. So you can prove Isaac Newton's hypothesis by taking a prism and adding a second prism as you shine white light through it. The white light will go through the first prism, separate into 7 colors. Those 7 colors will go through the second prism and combine together into white light. And this video will show you that in more detail. So what makes things a certain color? We know white light is the common type of light, right? When you look at a light bulb, that's producing white light. Well, why isn't a tomato white when white light hits it, right? We're seeing that light is made up of all these different colors, including red. Well, if white light is hitting the object, and we see things when light hits our eyes, why don't we see a white tomato instead of a red tomato? Well, pause the video, make a hypothesis on why you think that a tomato is red even though white light hits it. A tomato is red because when light hits the tomato, all the other colors of the spectrum are absorbed. So this is white light, right? All the colors combined. Well, when that white light hits the tomato, all of these colors are absorbed. So the orange, the yellow, the green, the blue, the red, the indigo, not the red, the violet, the indigo, they all get absorbed except for the red. The red is reflected off. So tomato is red not because it gives off red, but in actuality it absorbs all the other colors. It takes in all those other colors and bounces red off. And that red we see is the red light bouncing off the tomato. And that's why tomatoes are red, because they reflect red light. And that goes for anything of any other color. A blue object reflects blue light and absorbs all others. So what do you think a black object does? So think about that as we move forward. So the primary colors of light, red, green, and blue, are the primary colors of light. Right? Any combination of these 3 colors will make any other color you want. You have a lot of blue, a lot of red, and almost no green, you get a pinkish color. A lot of blue and a lot of green, but no red, you get cyan. A lot of green and a lot of red with almost no blue, you get yellow. And as you change the intensity of blue, green, or red, you can get any color you can think of. And so that's why these are called the primary colors of light. They make all the other colors. And if you have an even amount of red, green, and blue, you end up with white. Because again, these three make up all the colors, and so all the colors put together make white light. So you may be asking yourself, but wait, I thought that the primary colors were blue, red, and yellow. Blue, red, and yellow are the primary colors of paint, not light. So it's a common misconception to think that the primary colors of light are red, blue, and yellow, when they are in fact red, green, and blue. Now maybe you're asking, what's the difference? Well, when you add the three primary colors of paint, you get black. And when you add all the primary colors of light, you get white. Right? You can see that difference there. And the reason is that white light is made up of the combination of those lights. Well, remember, things have color because they reflect that color, right? Yellow paint is yellow not because it gives off yellow light. It's yellow because it reflects yellow light. But blue doesn't reflect yellow light, and red doesn't reflect yellow light, right? And so when you combine all these colors, they're not reflecting anything. And that makes it black. So black objects are when no light is reflected, or very little light is reflected off of it. And so that causes all the light to be absorbed, causing it to be black. And that's why the primary colors of paint and the primary colors of light are different. Right? So it might be a little confusing, but basically paint have color because they reflect that color, right? Red paint reflects red light. But red light is just red light. It's not reflecting off anything. So paints have color because of the lights they block and reflect, while light produces the color. So as you add more paint, it gets darker because different colors are absorbing different colors of light. And so the colors, the yellow light that yellow paint does not absorb and reflects, is then absorbed by the red paint mixed into it. And so you don't absorb as much, or you absorb more yellow. And so you end up with that orange color. This video will talk about that in more detail. You can check the notes on D2L. This is also where we see red, green, and blue in our eyes. Remember, we have two special cells in our retina, the back part of our eye, right? And in the retina, we have blue cones, green cones, and red cones, the primary colors for light. So we see color based on how much of each kind of light hits our eye. So back to our red tomato example, when we see a red tomato, the red light coming off the tomato, being reflected off the tomato, is coming from the white light hitting the tomato. The white light hits the tomato. The red light is reflected off and hits our red cones. And because it hits our red cones, we see red light. Same with green objects, like a green apple, right? The white light will hit the green apple. All the colors except green will be absorbed. And that green light hits our eyes. And so the green cone is activated. And our brain says, well, that's green. Rods see light and dark. They see brightness. They don't see color. Which can result in certain situations such as color blindness. Some people can be missing cones or not have the certain cones activate properly. They may have blue cones, but the blue cones are a little weak. And this can result in something called color blindness. The most common form of color blindness in people is red-green color blindness. So when someone says they're colorblind, it's not that they only see black and white. It's that certain colors seem more muted or dull because they can't see as much red or green. And so instead of seeing this image, they would see this image. And you can actually do a test to see if you're colorblind, and hopefully watching this you don't find out that you're colorblind. If you look at each of these dots, and if you can see the number hidden in each of these dots, you're not red-green colorblind, right? The fewer numbers you can see, the more severe your red-green colorblindness is. And so these are tests that optometrists and doctors use to see if an individual is colorblind. So hopefully you saw the numbers 25, 29, 45, 56, 6, and 3. Just kidding, it's 8. So this is also how screens make color. When you look at this computer screen that you're watching this video on, you probably see this. Now I don't recommend it, if you press your eye really close against the computer screen, you may see this. Or if you take a magnifying glass against the computer screen, you may see this. And again, you see red, green, blue, the primary colors of light. And so all these pixels making red, green, and blue light make all the colors you see on your computer screen. And again, this is the application of light and optics in our everyday lives. Our phones, our computers, video games, etc., TVs, they all use this combination and take advantage of our understanding of light to be able to produce all the colors and things we see on screens. So hopefully you found this useful, and hopefully you found this interesting enough to see how this science is applied in everyday life. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you next lesson.